We need to talk about this. So Victoria's Secret was always a front for human trafficking. Wexler and Black were intelligence agents posing as private citizens, funding Epstein for his consulting advice. Basically, the same scam they did with me. My plot's a lot like Epstein combined with MAGA, in the sense it involves targeting vulnerable teenage girls who are poor, but it's used for what MAGA is used for, to make the lowest trash scapegoat. So my plot is like both, and they targeted me when they were doing Epstein at the same time, by the way. And they use the same strategy: get a private billionaire to pretend money's going to something. It's actually, a clear intelligence front to keep the Satanists in power, right? Yeah, so Victoria's Secret was a front that they used to lure in poor, traumatized girls who had dreams of being model, right? Victoria's Secret was very big in the late 90s and 2000. And that's why you see these people like Naomi Campbell, and they make this go away, but Heidi Klum was involved. I feel like Heidi Klum has a special role. She's probably like a high up agent, the way Epstein and Ghislaine were, and a lot of these elites. She had a high up role, I bet, in procuring girls, simply because she does a lot of Illuminati brags that are just sadistically evil, like dressing up as Medusa a few days after Epstein. They declared no one's facing accountability. We know she was involved. They managed to make any rumors of her involvement disappear. Everyone knows Naomi Campbell's there because Naomi Campbell is not in the inbred Satan club. She's in the Satan club, but not. They have layers to this thing. Like they have the inbred ones. Like they've been ruling banks for centuries, and they practice Satan, and they literally fuck each other, and they're like feudal system. Like they have like a bloodlines that are inbred. And then below them are the ones they let in at a high rank, but they're not like made men. That would be like someone like Naomi Campbell, like the highest celebrities who they recruit for talent or beauty or something like that. And then, they have their orbiters, people who are not really with them but want to be and think they are. They throw them to the wolves like nothing. The ones who are the highest up always get protected. Anyone outside the highest level can get thrown to the fucking wolves. You see it all the time. Bill Cosby, Weinstein. Weinstein got thrown to the wolves because he was not in the Satan clique. He was around them and knew of them and worked with them, but he wasn't in them. And that's why he went down as the face of degenerates in Hollywood, because he was actually a lot less degenerate. He wasn't into this weird shit they do where they drink blood and fuck babies that are drugged. They do that shit. And that's why they go to this theme over and over again, targeting poor, vulnerable teenage girls for rape and slavery. It's literally like in their weird inbred occult practices, right? The reason nobody knows Heidi Klum was involved in this is because I believe this. I believe she's posing as an organically picked, beautiful model, but she's actually like in the inbred line. Like she's actually one who comes from a family that was connected to them for a long, long time. I'm telling you this. And you know how you know? There's two ways you know. Number one, when you look at her compared to other VS models, does this look like she fits in? I mean, she's tall and skinny, but if you look at her face versus like the ones who are clearly picked for their beauty, like Tyra Banks, Adriana Lima, Naomi Campbell, they look remarkably beautiful. When you look at their faces, you look at them at those faces and you say to yourself, this is like a 1 in 1,000 face on a body that is also 1 in 1,000. In a sense, like the kind of body they look for that, like tall, a natural tall build that's thin. You can see how you're like, okay, I can see how you got picked because no, like the way you look is very rare. Then you look at her and you're like, you're just a tall, gangly German woman. Like you have a face like a German peasant. She does not have a remarkably beautiful model's face. Look at her pictures and then compare them to the other ones who were clearly not in the club. They got picked for being special beautiful. You're telling me that job? You telling me that in all of Germany, because they want models of different backgrounds to make a diversity of beauty, right? So you have Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, Adriana Lima, all these people, even Giselle Bundchen, and then you look at her face, and you're like, you cannot tell me this is the best Germany can do. But what I can believe, especially since Germany and the Illuminati was all in Europe and not these other countries, only later in history. What I can believe is she's the least ugly of a very ugly lot, and they figured they could pass her off as a model. And that's why she's protected. That's why nobody talks about this. Like, Heidi Klum was super involved in Epstein, throwing parties with them. She literally hosted a party in 2000. Her 2000 themed Halloween party was hookers and pimps, and Epstein was there. You think that's not deliberate? And you also don't think it's deliberate she dressed up as Medusa, which is a famous symbol of rape, destroying people, and the victims not having accountability, but being labeled a monster to destroy. You think it's a coincidence she dressed up as that a few days after her Satanist friends all declared we're not going to face any accountability? I'm going to tell you why this is going on. I'm going to tell you why. She was not picked a random poor German person. Her family was connected to them, and she was chosen. She's a higher level person. And that's why she does so much bragging, why she's so into sadism, and why she sits next to some of the most beautiful, rare people in the world as if it fits. And then I just gaslight you. Like, nobody's going to say this, that Heidi Klum does not fit in with the other beautiful models. Look at their faces and come back to me and tell me that shit. She's like, it's like Elon Musk. Like, if you look at these people, these Satanist elites who have ruled countries for centuries and decades, they all look really ugly because they're inbred. They're literally inbred. They do weird shit. They breed with each other. Look it up. The rumors, the conspiracy rumors abound. That's what they do. Like, feudal system. If you look at Elon Musk, you're like, he's almost passable as a normal person, like physically. He passes as a normal non-inbred person, like, especially with a few tweaks, like fix his chin, give him some hair. He could be like, for a billionaire, he passes as like less ugly than what you would expect of a billionaire. That's like Heidi Klum to modeling in the sense she was like someone connected to them who was clearly nowhere near attractive enough to be like a world famous model. Like you could see like maybe she could get one or two gigs, but nobody would look at her and be like, "Wow, you're so special." I don't care how tall she is. You just wouldn't say that looking at her. But because she's connected to them, they decided to place her in this role as one of the Victoria's Secret models because her job was always to help them entrap girls, to do weird sacrifices, turn to slaves, torture, whatever they do. That's what they love to do. They love to target poor, vulnerable females with trauma. That's the trifecta, the quadrifecta. Poor, no money, vulnerable, young females with trauma. Like, who already have had a bad, you would think they'd have some empathy, like, oh, their life's been so bad. No, it actually makes their vampire fangs come out, because just like you see a seal on the beach like fucking to death a little seal that it polarizes a fertile target, these extremely masculine antisocial Satanists, they hone in on a young small female with no money who is already abused as the number one target they want to fuck with more. Just like as much as a giant ugly seal on the beach will see like a newborn baby calf and it's thinking, you're small and fertile, and I'm going to fuck you to death. That's kind of how they look at people and people with those features, because the poor, lack of money means no power. Vulnerable, no support, no power. Female, obviously, because they're like a giant antisocial dick in the world. They're just like the most antisocial men in the world. They are obsessed with female bodies that are young. and trauma. Because again, rather like a normal person, like, oh, you need help, they're like, no, I can easily destroy you. And it makes me feel like I own the world and own all females. That's why they do it, right? So with that established, I think that she's almost like a sleeper agent, like put in there, and she always had a very high ranking role to help the Epstein plot. And that's why she brags about this shit so much. Why she's dressing up as Medusa. You don't see Tyra Banks doing that shit. You don't see Naomi. They named Naomi Campbell and not her the same way they named Prince Andrew and not Ehud Barak. In the sense they protect the people who are deep in the cult, right? And they'll throw a peripheral orbiter who's not deep in the cult to take the heat. That's how that works. They'll throw Weinstein, who wasn't deep in the cult, to hide the weird shit they do where they like fuck unconscious babies. Like, you think I'm fucking with you? These rumors exist. They'd be doing weird shit to like 10-year-olds. Why do you think everything that goes on in the world boils down to kids go missing? They only want you to know about the teenagers, so you don't know about the weird shit where they do weird rituals with actual little kids. She's a dirt pig, and she looks like a Neanderthal mixed with a demon. She looks like the song Dunwich by Electric Wizard, which is about like a weird hyper religious German town, and one of the people there is half demon. That's what she looks like. Like, you mix like German peasant with demon. She never fit in with them. She was always clocky. Like, they use the word clocky like a trans person. She's clocky as I'm actually picked organically. I'm a regular person. She's very clocky. The way Elon Musk is like, I'm just a regular guy who became a billionaire. I'm a cool guy. Oh, a cool guy billionaire. It's like, no, you're from a Satanist bloodline. Like, we know it. Your family moves around from like South Africa to America to this country to that country, ruining things and enslaving people. You're not a regular guy. You're part of some weird inbred Satan cult. We know that. And I guarantee you so is she. That's why she don't fit in with these other ones. And why she shows such a penchant for evil the way Ghislaine did. And the thing is, in the Satan cults, even the females who are protected because they're deep in the cult, they still will always sacrifice them first. That's also why a lot of these females try to show a penchant for cruelty and entitlement. They're trying to signal to the other guys who would kill them, sacrifice them, that they're just as ruthless. Don't look at me like a female. Look at me like a fellow degenerate Satanist male. That's why they do that. That's why why the girls all say Ghislaine was more cruel than Epstein. Because the way it works, even the females in the Satan cult, not the peripheral orbiters, not the ones chosen to be near them, but the females born into the cult, from birth they were connected to this shit. They know just being female, they could be next. That's how it works. They're like a writhing mass of snakes, and they're always looking to target a female. And even the females in the Satan cult know this deep down. So that's why the females in the Satan cult, not the peripheral orbiters, try so hard to seem as cruel and entitled as the men. But despite all of Ghislaine's efforts, she's the only one in jail. Because at the end of the day, they're always about dominating females, even other females in their cult. They will often even make their own children who are females sexual abuse victims. Look at Trump trying to traffic Ivana, whatever her name is. Like, there's so many rumors. That's why you see that pattern the most. I call it try-hard Illuminati display. It's usually done by the higher-up females, and it's a way that they're trying to signal that they're as cruel, as apathetic to human life, and as entitled as the men. And they're doing that because they know how it works. They will always choose a female to sacrifice for them. So should one of them need to go down, they know they're first on the chopping block, right? And despite all of Ghislaine's effort to seem as cruel and as sadistic as them, she's the only one in prison. That's how that works. And that's why you see this from Heidi Klum as well. Same reason Ghislaine was the most advertising. I'm okay with this cruelty. I'm entitled to it. But she knows, like, it could just be a day, and they're like, "Oh, did you know Heidi Klum was a rapist? Yeah, what a weirdo, what a freak." Yeah, and she'll be in prison and not them. That's how that works. So yeah, she's a dirt pig. She looks like a Neanderthal. Her face next to the ones organically picked for being cute is a joke. Her job was basically to like sell these girls dreams of being a famous model like her, and knowing that she was setting them up to be enslaved, and they would target poor teenage girls who had no supports, who were literally physically poor in money, and also with a history of abuse. And this is a common strategy. The human trafficker will send a female, because if Epstein approaches, you're going to be vigilant right away. So they'll send a Ghislaine, they'll send a Heidi Klum, they'll send a Naomi Campbell, they'll do something like that, like to make it seem real, like, oh, you could trust me, I'm a woman, I'm going to help you get famous. And the whole time it's just about enslaving them, right? And that was her job. She had a job just like Ghislaine. She may not have physically abused them, because nobody's saying that she did, but I guarantee you she had a role in helping procure them and make it seem like, yeah, you're even Victoria's Secret, just like me. And that's why she's doing this display dressing up as Medusa. She's a dirt pig. She looks like an inbred German peasant. Her face looks like her ancestors were Russian peasants who stomped Berlin, combined with inbred Satanists. There's literally no reason she should have ever been a world famous model unless her job was always to help the human trafficking ring. And she's passable as a model. And since she's tall and her face is not completely malformed like most of theirs, like you look at some of these people like Laura Loomer or what's that fucking bitch's name? Libs at TikTok. They look obviously inbred. You know, like a lot of them look obviously inbred. But then you have ones like Elon Musk and Heidi Klum where it's like they're passable as like a non-inbred person who's conventionally attractive. But when you look at the details, like look at her face versus these really rare beauties. You're telling me all of Germany, this is for our German model, this is the one we want? But I do believe the Illuminati was started in Germany. These elites started there. And she was probably the least ugly one of their group. So that's how she got to sit next to, and they pretended like she was as beautiful as them. Yeah, she's a dirt pig. She's an evil slob. And of course, she'll face no accountability because we're ruled by dirt slobs. They're all dirt slobs. And it's just like snakes devouring each other as the females try to signal they're as gross, entitled, and okay with cruelty as the males, only to be chucked under the bus anyway. Like Ghislaine. They're so sad. They're so gross. And this is what rules the world. And that's why the world looks like this. It doesn't have to look like this, but it's because of them.